Howdy grinders, welcome to All Legends Explained by an Apex Predator. He didn't shy away from providing us with the best of the best, so here's the real deal. My name is Zephyr, and without any further ado, let's get straight to our question of the day. What are your goals for this upcoming Apex season? Let me know in the comments section below. Now with that out of the way, let's get started. First, we have Bloodhound. So what makes this legend so valuable from a Predator's perspective? It's about the ability to gather information and the killer switch you can flip once you've charged your ultimate ability. The increase in speed he gains during that turn him from a supportive legend to a fragger. But you have to keep in mind that scanning and alting both have unique drawbacks that you need to know about. Every time you alt or scan, you reveal your position, which means you're giving the enemy squads a friendly heads up of what's potentially coming. All in all, he's a solid staple if you want to combine the powers of an informational broker with an on-demand fighting machine. Next up comes Gibby. Here we have the very first staple of probably a big portion of comps in Apex Legends. But why is this legend so good? From an individual angle, he's quite beefy thanks to being fortified and taking 15% less damage in combination with his gun shield. That's something you kinda need given the fact that you have a massive hitbox. If you view it from a team's perspective, he offers one of the most valuable tacticals that are out there, the Gibby Dome. Placing it down when it gets troublesome is a game changer and exactly what makes him a solid staple for most team comps out there. Especially when it comes to rezzing, you can pop the dome and revive your allies 33% faster than usual as they're within the dome. But outside of that, you need to mind the following. You can turn on and off the gun shield, which comes super handy once you realize that you can be spotted from a bigger distance when it's on. If you want to learn more about why certain legends are insane staple choices for a lot of comps, you should check out our coaches over at ProGuides.com. They'll help you out, I'm sure. After Gibby, we're going to be taking a look at Lifeline. With her drone, she can heal up while popping a bat at the same time, which is a huge time saver when it comes to getting pushed or catching a breather before joining a fight again. You can also think of her as the combat medic you'd love to have on your team. In the distant past, she was one of the most obnoxious legends to deal with as she'd spawn an impenetrable revive shield as she helped her allies. Luckily though, that's not the case anymore. Nonetheless, she's now able to res her entire team without being forced to stick it directly, which means she's able to quickly reset and go for different angles, whereas the enemy is forced to deal with a soon revived squad mate of hers. Here's also a little trick when it comes to reviving. If you want to almost bypass the revive animation, you can input it while sliding by a downed ally. Yet another time saver that could be the difference between life and death. The next legend on this list is Pathfinder. You can think of him as a smurf legend that turns into a crazy fragger the better you are, or if they're just worse than you. He has the ability to always get the high ground from an individual point of view with his grapple, but he can also get his team there with the power of his ultimate. But for both of these moves, you need to be careful. They have relatively long cooldowns and your tactical on max range goes up to 30 seconds, which means if you're stuck, you're most likely dead unless you're beaming them. In addition to that, you need to be careful while taking the zip. You can't perma-bounce on and off anymore, so you're an easy target. But here's a little secret. If you place down your zip next to an already existing zip, you can perma-bounce between both as it resets the internal counter for the penalty if you tag another zip line. Another hero that's part of the mobility legends is Wraith. She can be your entry fragger, your jail-free card, or your local kidnapper. By using her tactical, she's also able to hide herself in the void, therefore avoiding any shots. It's pretty great when it comes to escaping a sketchy situation or quickly rotating through a dangerous place without getting blasted. Her true value, however, comes from the form of her ultimate ability. Combining her tactical and her ultimate will guarantee her and her squad's survival if those abilities are properly chained and placed. And for the creative people among you, do the previously mentioned sequence but pop the portal inside of an enemy legend to bring him home to your squad. For our next legend, we have Bangalore. This legend's pretty neat when it comes to just being better than the enemy. Similar to Pathy, you're gonna frag like a machine when you're the better player, but here's why. Whenever you're shot at, you gain a temporary burst of movement speed which you can use to outmaneuver enemies to gun them down. If you combine that with a Digi and her smokescreen ability, you can almost appear like a hacker, as sometimes people just don't understand what's really going on. A thing you have to be careful of though is that you can still blind your teammates, so make sure to feed them the adequate info during your blitz. Another slick trick comes in the form of her ultimate. Rather than throwing it backwards at your enemy, you may throw it in front of you. That way, chasing squads will be caught by the explosions and they need to either wait it out or take the full force of your damage. If you want some more creative tips and tricks though on how to use abilities on any legend in the game, check out our coaches and push yourself to the next level. Following Bangalore, we have our lovely Caustic. This legend is the most powerful when it comes to either fortifying places or making them uninhabitable. Fighting him indoors is a death sentence as you'll get permanently drained by his toxic gas. And if that wasn't bad enough already, he's gonna see you suffer and gun you down at the same time. But another thing that makes him even more annoying to deal with is that he can block doors with his traps and also hide behind them for additional cover. Nowadays, you're able to destroy them once they go off, but they're still pretty solid cover when used correctly. You may even pop them yourself if you really want to, just so they can't be killed instantly when their bottom part is shot. The next legend is Mirage, which is often memed or ridiculed for his relative strength compared to other legends. However, if used right, he can be annoying to deal with, apart from the fact that if you have demonic aim, you're probably able to play anything anyways. If you want to play him though, you gotta keep this in mind. You're gonna be fooling enemies and annoying them at the same time. To do so in the best fashion, pop your ultimate without being focused and then get a free beam on anyone of your choosing. For his team though, his value is kinda limited as he only provides a stealth res, and since he's weak in terms of mobility, he just doesn't feel in the right spot as of right now. Nonetheless, you can at least trigger traps of enemies to find out what's going on, but if we're honest and you're in need of RP, I can't really recommend playing him. Next up comes Octane, and he's as fast as he is dangerous. Being able to quickly rotate and traverse immense gaps, he's quite the W key legend. From a selfish perspective, he's always able to escape and outrun anyone in the game. However, that does come at the price of your health. For his team and himself, he can drop down a jump pad that allows all the players who use it to gain a powerful movement tool. Here's the issue though. As you fly up, you become quite the easy target to take down, so always bear in mind what's around you. Another neat trick for him is always being able to stim while utilizing meds. Doing so while being close to finishing a medkit can grant you the burst of movement speed you need to outplay anyone. Octane gone, Fuse here. This legend loves outdoor combat and can be an absolute nightmare for any squad who chooses to stay inside. Placing his ultimate will cast down a huge wall of fire that, if touched, deals massive amounts of damage to not just all enemies, but also himself. It also highlights every one hit, which is just the icing on top of the cake. The downside, however, is the time his ult takes to drop down and activate, which, given the pace of the game, can hurt quite a lot. Therefore, plan ahead. If you combine this with his ability to force people out of cover with his tactical, and the fact that he's able to carry 2 nades in one slot, you got yourself quite the deadly arsenal. Adding to that deadly arsenal, we have a legend that, like Caustic, loves to fortify a position. With Wattson, you can basically render most legends' ultimate abilities useless apart from a very select few under specific conditions. Taking that into consideration and combining it with her offensive makes it quite hard to push her without putting yourself at serious risk. So long story short, she's basically piloted in a similar way that Caustic is, but has no tool to push people out of buildings. Our next informational broker comes in the form of Crypto. What makes him so nice is his ability to pick up banners from his fallen squad mates' death boxes with his drone. Adding its ability to EMP makes it even more interesting. One of the reasons Crypto is also used in pro play is his ability to EMP the Gibby bubble, which, given the context of a fight, could be detrimental to the enemy squad. What you need to be aware of though is that you're super vulnerable when you pilot that drone. So tell your teammates to cover you, and don't do it while you're completely exposed. Other than that, make sure to share all bits of information via pinging or callouts. That's the legend's purpose, next to annoying other squads, of course. One of the more suicidal legends is Revenant. With his ultimate granting you and anyone who touches it 1 extra life, it's almost mandatory to throw yourself into fights with a relentless aggression. With an atypical style of gameplay, you're going to attempt to take down other squads by carelessly running at them as your life is just 1 of 2. Especially beneficial is the point that he can silence other legends while pushing them at the same time. But it wouldn't be fair if there wasn't some kind of drawback. Placing down his totem gives off a loud noise and radiates, which makes it easy to be spotted. so be very mindful as the totem can be eliminated or a sneaky squad can abuse it just as well. Individually, he also brings something interesting to the table. Crouch ADS strafing is way faster than normal, and he can climb so much higher than any other legend, which makes getting high ground quite easy. From sneaking or suicide pushing to throwing some beautiful accessories towards the enemy squad, we're now with Loba. Individually, she can push anyone or get high ground from any angle by throwing her bracelet towards her desired location. And while doing so, she's not stuck. She can run and gun as she waits patiently to teleport to her bracelet's new position. After appearing there, you'll briefly be vulnerable though, as you're unable to utilize weapons for a short period of time. But what makes her so cool in team play is that she makes looting so satisfying. Placing your ult down and accessing anything in the area makes gearing up quite easy. Combining this with its ability to block doors and be used for cover, you've got yourself quite the versatile ability, even though it wasn't really designed for that specifically. The next legend is Rampart, and she loves loading up Sheila and unleashing an endless torrent of bullets on enemy squads. She can also blow away doors and cover quite easily with her minigun, but while doing so, she's exposing herself to deadly threats. She basically can't or barely strafe while holding the minigun and is therefore super easy to beam. To give you a little trick, here's something you can do with her deployable amp-up covers. Once its shield is destroyed, you can just place down another one behind the broken, and it gets significantly harder to destroy it during the building phase. Given the pace of the game, she's also not the best choice as of right now, but if you use those covers right, you can amplify your and your allies' damage quite a bit and have some fun gunning down those poor souls. A more viable choice comes in the form of Horizon. Things like gravity don't really apply to her, and when it comes to forcing players out of cover, she also has quite the tricks up her sleeves. Whenever you're fighting in open areas or even indoors, you can place your ult in a decent position to pull them out of cover. Be careful though, as your allies are also influenced by that pull. Next to that, her gravity lift can also be used to get high ground instantly. If you want to be mobile and able to grief and annoy people from mid-range, you're gonna love this pick. Up for another mobility-based hero? Meet Valkyrie. With her, you can never be stuck in a bad zone again, at least when you have your ultimate. You can always just relocate to the best possible POIs with little risk. Individually, she can also use her jetpack to outplay people or stall for time at places that most legends don't really have access to. Additionally to that, you can also tap strafe using your jet in one go while escaping. That way, you're harder to hit. Another secret mechanic for this legend is shooting your tactical backwards. For this, the timing is key. Run forward, initiate a slide jump, and shoot your rockets. You may force people out of cover with those or just stun them. Whatever it is, it's going to be helpful. If you want to pick Valk, just do it. She's one of the most solid staples for any team comp. From unlimited mobility to the all-seeing eye Seer, no one can sneak up on a team with him if he uses his passive actively. Next to that, he's able to obtain a literal wall hack for some time with his ultimate ability. But keep in mind, players that crouch within it will remain undetected and it is easily destroyed. So like previous legends, he's once again an informational broker. But here's something special. If you want to wait with your tactical, you can use it a little bit later in a fight when people try to heal or res. That way you can cancel them and turn the fight in your favor. And if you're also a friend of gimmicks, you can pay close attention to the heartbeat sensor. Once someone is low HP, the heart will beat faster compared to seeing someone with full health. So to make sure this legend works well for you, you have to be vocal outside of your abilities. Make sure to convey precise information as fast as possible. A different type of informational broker is Ash. Rather than plainly focusing on the realm of living, she combines the dead and living alike. Once she taps into death boxes, she can make out the position and the amount of players that killed the poor soul whose death box you're looking at. This will be visible for her and her teammates, and she can even highlight fresh death boxes, which implies potential third parties. Once you're in a pickle, you're also able to turn into a different version of Wraith for a moment. Doing so is done by using your ultimate, which is very alike to Wraith's, but it comes with a few unique traits. You can slash reality and open up a one-way portal that allows for rotations. Other than Wraith, you're able to do so even through open windows. That way you can either escape or push people super fast, as you're able to freely choose where you want to go, as long as it's within the range's ability. While running away, there's another thing you should make use of, which is her arc snare. But here's the real kicker. You don't want to throw it where people are, you want to throw it where people are going to be. So if you're getting chased, block off a corridor or a door to give yourself some more time and make it extra annoying for the enemy. Last but not least comes Mad Maggie. As you can already guess by her name, it's quite self-explanatory. A legend that gains extra speed while utilizing shotguns surely turn her into some kind of mad crazed demon. She can easily make super aggressive pushes with her team by utilizing her ultimate, blowing away doors and pushing towards enemy squads with an extra speed boost. Her statement to campers is also quite unique. She hates them, so she burns them by drilling through with her riot drill into a wall and setting alight anything on the other side with a flare. But remember, you can only penetrate up to 13 meters. The true fuel to her aggression though is something different. Tapping in on that bonus movement speed while using shotguns, you're also able to see enemies that you've damaged recently. Relentlessly hunting them down becomes your creed as you're constantly abusing the power of your warlord's ire. Adding that to your speed, you can use the ultimate to become even faster. If your squad loves W keying, then this legend is surely a solid choice for you. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more Apex Legends content.